No nonsense gin drinking. All gin and a surprising amount of nonsense.
Hello gin lovers, welcome back. I'm Bobby Freeman. Today, my friends, we have a bit of a special show for you. In fact, you know what? If I could paraphrase Ron Burgundy from Anchorman, which I do like to do sometimes, it's kind of a big deal. Because today, my friends, we're doing a top 10 celebrity gins, okay? Now, I've featured, as my regular viewers know, if you're not a regular viewer, I will tell you, I have featured many gins on this show, some of which are endorsed or created by or have something to do with a particular celebrity. So I've scanned back over my previous videos and I've managed to collate 10 of them, okay, and I put them in an order. Now, whenever I do these top 10s, people say to me, oh, you should have put that one there, or what about that, or about this? Yeah, I know, this is just mine, okay? This is all subjective. I've never claimed to be an expert, just a kind of a enthusiastic enthusiast. And it was quite tricky, to be honest, because there were some really good ones in there. So I've sat down for the last half hour and sort of and ahed and tweaked and sort of fiddled about a bit and put them, I've cobbled together. It's a good word, cobbled, isn't it? It doesn't get used enough these days. So I sat down, had a right good cobbling session, and I've collated this top 10 for you. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you agree with it. Actually, no, I don't mind if you don't. I don't mind if you disagree with it, actually. Put the comments in the section below, in fact, if you disagree with me. Put comments, put trolling remarks, put personal abuse if you really wish. I honestly, I'm just grateful for any contact. And of course, don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't already. If you like to watch a man cobbling together gins in a red shirt, which is actually, look at the state of this, actually falling apart. I've had this on since the beginning of the channel now, and it's literally ripping up the arms. We're going to get to one point. I've just got one sleeve. Might be quite interesting, actually. I think I'll just see it through to the bitter end until it's literally hanging off, and then I'll think about replacing it. Like I said before, only top quality content on this channel. So sit back, my friends, relax, and enjoy my top 10 celebrity gins.
Number 10.
So straight in at number 10, we have this little fella. Now everyone's going to recognise this. This is Aviation Gin, which is obviously attached to Ryan Reynolds. Now this gin has come in under a lot of fire from a lot of people because, I don't know, people have criticised it for, oh, it's just because Ryan Reynolds is attached to it. But what you have to remember with this one is, it's an American gin, okay? It's very different to London Dry style gins that we get here. Well, that's when I say very different. It is slightly different, so you can't really judge it by the same yardstick. It's slightly weaker on the juniper, okay, which is a little bit weird for gin, but I actually find it quite refreshingly kind of simple. There's a sort of a beautiful simplicity about it that works kind of well in things like cocktails. I don't think it's quite so good with, make it with a gin and tonic, but sometimes things can be a little bit simple, Look myself, I'm sort of, well, I was going to say nice to look at. I'm not even nice to look at, but I am simple. That didn't go quite as planned. But my point is, simplicity sometimes can be good. It can be great, in fact. So I think this definitely has its place, okay? It's not going to be kind of going into weird and wonderful realms of sort of flavours and odd things and make you think and go, that's interesting. However, as I say, it does have its place. And if you've discounted this once, maybe just revisit it, try it in a nice little cocktail or something, and just give it a second chance, because I think this is actually, I was going to say underrated. It's definitely not underrated, but I think over-criticised. So if you're one of those people that over-criticise, just give it another go, because I actually think it's a simple, different, but very good gin.
Number 9.
So, in at number 9 is James Gin American Mustard. This is the gin, of course, from James May, the TV presenter, and he has 4 different gins, actually. I've featured them all on my show. And I really like the ethos of James Gin. They create flavours that are really kind of brave and out there and sort of going in places that kind of no other gin company kind of dares go. And honestly, never was that truer than with this American Mustard gin. When I first heard of this, I just thought, that is madness. That is sheer madness. That's never going to work. How can you put mustard in a gin? But somehow they made it work. The brilliant team at James Gin and Hugh at the Downton Distillery, they made it so it's to me, it's kind of like when you take a bite of a big loaded hot dog with all the the pickles and the mustard and the sauce and everything in there, and somehow they put that in a gin. And I would never ever have guessed that would have worked, but it kind of worked. It's a bit of a shock to the system when you first try it, but after a couple of minutes, it's kind of weirdly pleasant, I'd describe it. I don't think they'd mind me saying that. It's kind of weirdly pleasant, and it works kind of well. And it's also nice. You don't very often get gins that pair with food, but if you ever, chowing down on a big hot dog or a burger or something, this, my friends, is the one to go for. So that's why this one is a very deserved place in my top 10.
Number 8.
Okay, in at number 8, I don't actually have this bottle, so I'm going to put some sort of graphic of it around this area here. This, my friends, is Hedgehog Gin. And if you're thinking to yourself you haven't heard of that one, you might not have done. I hadn't heard of it before, but I think it's going to be sort of a judgment upon your person if you know about the celebrity behind this gin, because this is the gin by, I can't believe I'm saying this, this is Ron Jeremy, the adult film star. Can I say porn star? Probably. Let's sod it. We'll just go for it. Porn star. Now, you might think to yourself, not the most likeliest of pairings for gins, but to be honest, everything seems to get paired with a gin these days, so why not? And I remember when I tried this one on the channel quite a while ago now. It's kind of it's a core gin. It's not doing anything weird and wonderful like the previous gin, the mustard gin, but it did everything really right, but with a sort of a unique little twist. So there was kind of it was primarily sort of citrusy, orangey sort of essences to it, but with a kind of a bitter edge to it as well, with a sort of a floral and sort of a slight herbaceous essence to it, and you know, all kind of mixed in. But at the same time, it was just really, really nicely balanced and just sort of a slightly different to anything I've ever had before. And initially, I wasn't sure if I liked it, but the bitter, especially about the, you know, with the bitterness of the orange. But after a couple of minutes, it settles in. You're like, you know what? This really kind of works. And it was kind of a nice, pleasant little surprise. I've never seen the gin before or since, but if you ever see this one, don't let the image of Ron Jeremy, because I'm not going to comment on his appearance, but let's say, don't let that image fool you, or certainly don't think of that when you're drinking it. I mean, I don't think I tried that, but I'm pretty sure it won't add to the experience. Anyway, what I'm saying is, give it a go, because it was a very unexpectedly brilliant little gin. I think I said unexpectedly brilliant about something else. Maybe I could say about every gin on this video, but I think I might lose some credibility. Anyway, my point is, it was a really nice little gin, so if you see it, definitely try it, and it was most definitely worthy of a place on my top 10 celebrity gins. Number 7. Okay, and in at 7, I'm pretty sure everyone in the world is going to have heard the celebrity behind this one. This is from petrolhead turned farmer, and that is, of course, Jeremy Clarkson. Now, this is called Diddley Squat. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Diddley Squat Farm London Dry Gin with a, what does it say? A hint of hot. So this is a very, very, you know, unlike Jeremy Clarkson himself, it's quite delicate and not particularly brash or heavy in any kind of way. Well, when I say heavy, I mean, I don't know what I mean. But my point is, the flavours in this are kind of very, very delicately put together. I remember when I first tried this one, when I smelt it first, it was quite a sort of a thick, sort of laden down junipery. I thought it was going to be a kind of a real heavy juniper gin. But when you actually tried it, the juniper was actually sort of very, very light and sort of floaty sort of kind of flavours, with sort of just hints of citrus and angelica and things like that, just very, very delicately used, but just kind of really balanced quite nicely. But this has obviously got a hint of hot, as it says, so it includes chilies grown on the Diddley Squat farm. So chilies are quite a dangerous thing. I wasn't sure when I heard that, but actually, again, they were used very, very sparingly, and there's just a tiny sort of hint of it on the aftertaste, which is usually when you sort of try something hot and spicy like that. It's usually when you've taken a gulp, you think, oh, it's not hot at all. You take a deep breath and you go, Jesus Christ, my mouth's on fire. It's not quite to that point. In fact, it's nowhere near that point. It's just a kind of hint of tingliness. And I like that because I don't think I'd ever experienced it in a gin before. And as I said before, I've tried many, many, many gins. So I liked it. I liked that it wasn't just a generic, here's another wham bam, here's another Diddley Squat product, you know. It seems like some thought's gone into it. So it's very, very pleasant. I was pleased with it. It had a little bit of burn on the throat, and what more could you want? That's why it's in at number, 7? Number 6. So, my friends, in at number 6, a very, very interesting one. This, my friends, is from the legend that is Snoop Dogg, which is In Doggo. I think that's a play on words of indigo. It's very clever. However, when I was growing up in the 90s, Doggo was what we referred to as, how shall I put it? Dog Mom, Dad's trotting Doggo and he's walked it through the living room carpet again. However, my friends, this was a far cry from the Doggo that I knew, because this was a delight. Let me have a... Oh my God, treat myself to a little sniff there. This is it's essentially a pink gin. It's a strawberry, but ultimately supremely juiced up and zezzed up. I don't think those two things are words, but all sort of words that end with up. But you know what I mean? Kind of really sort of upped, and sort of all the strawberry dials have been turned up right to a maximum, and there's not, you know, much more complexity about it. It's just a really sort of candy, sweety, kind of fruity strawberry gin, and it was like a sort of an indulgence. Very, very nice gin. So what, you know, for again, with a celebrity gin, they can sometimes just just, rest on their laurels, and it will probably sell anyway, because it's to do with Snoop Dogg, but it was genuinely lovely, like a little desserty treat. So that's why I wanted to bring it to you today, and it's number 6 on my list. Now let me pause the video for a brief second here, guys, while I tell you about today's sponsor, Tozo headphones. Now you might be thinking to yourself, that's nothing to do with gin, and it's not. I usually only sort of advertise stuff that's to do with the drinks world. However, Narissa and I have actually been using Tozo for about 3 or 4 years now. We have the little sort of earbud ones that go in your ears. However, they've sent me these noise cancelling ones, and they are amazing. I'm a bit late to the party with the whole noise cancelling thing, but honestly, you put it on, you can switch the noise cancelling on or off, and literally, I have no idea if you can hear me talking anymore. And as I always say, I only advertise stuff on this show that, I genuinely like, and I think you guys will like too. They do everything that the big brands do, but for a hell of a lot cheaper. So if you want a bit of noise cancelling action in your life, and you don't want to spend too much money, click on the link below this video and get yours today.
Number 5.
So halfway in at number 5, and you're not going to believe this, Snoop Dogg is making a second appearance in this top 10. However, this time he has teamed up with his good friend Dr. Dre to create Still Gin. Now this is very different. In fact, I've had 2 rappers on the show now. I feel like I should do a rap or something. However, I am, quite obviously a white guy in my mid-40s. So would that work? Sipping, tasting every now and then. G to the I to the mother N. Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, back to the gin. I was really impressed with this one. This is a core gin. Very, very different from the Indogo over there. This was kind of nice, subtly and sort of expertly blended, I thought. There was this kind of a delicate, sort of lacy, sort of juniper sort of feel to it. Quite sort of a light, flowy sort of essence. But then the citrus came along sort of in a sort of a very smooth way. But it was kind of a little bit different to citrus I've had before. It said on the website that it gives a sort of a tangerine-y quality, and I think that kind of sums it up quite well. The flavours worked really, really well together, and it was also soup that had kind of a super sort of smooth essence to it as well, a very sort of glidey down the throaty sort of effect. And I thought it was really, really good. And again, didn't obviously rest on its laurels. They've obviously put a lot of thought into this, and I really, really liked it, and it's definitely well worth a place at my number 5. And by the way, if Snoop Dogg or Dr. Dre or indeed any other rap producers are watching this, then I am available.
Number 4.
So my friends, in at number 4 is Threefold Gin. Now if you're not familiar with this is by Steve the Bartender. He's a very successful YouTuber. I think he has like over 1 million subscribers now, and he's from Australia, and he's literally the go-to guy for internet kind of bar and drink stuff. He's a really nice guy as well, and this is his gin, Threefold Gin. Now I must apologise because when I was in my outside studio, my semi-outside studio in my garage, it got a bit damp in there, and the label went a bit mouldy. So that's not, it doesn't usually come with mould, that's just something I've added myself. And this, my friends, honestly, I always talk about balancing flavours on this show, and this was a masterclass in balancing flavours, and pretty strong flavours as well. I know Steve locked himself away in a distillery for a year to just get the balancing of the flavours right for this, and it really, really tells. You can feel all that love and time and effort that went into it. So the main flavours on here, it says grapefruit, rosemary and lavender. Now, grapefruit and lavender are 2 really strong flavours. Lavender used, in excess can be really kind of perfumey and sort of overpowering, and grapefruit can be quite bitter. However, if you use these 2 in kind of very delicate, expertly sort of measured qualities, they can create something truly wonderful with a great depth of flavour. And it also had a kind of a backup spiciness, which is due to the pink peppercorns. And as I say, these are really big flavours, but Steve kind of, took a bit off there, added a bit on there, and balanced it absolutely brilliantly. And also, Australian gins in general don't get that much attention, certainly over here in Europe, but every Australian gin I've tried has been wonderful. But this is definitely amongst the best of them. So if you haven't seen this one before, and you see the chance, you get the chance to get it. You see the chance, you get to see the chance. Let me try that again. If you get the chance, if you see it and get the chance, that wasn't much better. If you see this gin and you get the chance to get it, just please don't miss up on it, because it's truly, truly exceptional and well worth a place in my top 10.
Number 3.
So then, in at number 3, I haven't actually got a bottle of this, so again, I'll have to put one of the graphics there. But this, again, is another appearance from James Gin. Now, this is Asian Parsnip. This is James May's first gin, okay, they brought out. And this, again, it kind of blew me away a little bit because, much like with the mustard gin, I looked at this and thought, Asian Parsnip? how on earth could how can a parsnip work in a gin? And it's, Asian-y, sounds like it could have some sort of, spices as well. And I was thinking, a spicy parsnip sounds like the name of a pub in East London. And certainly not the sort of pub you want to go in either. But anyway, my point is, I thought it was going to be weird. I didn't think it could possibly work. However, as soon as I tried it, it just, not only did it work, it was really exceptional. The blending of the sort of that parsnippy kind of, I suppose they're all, as I said before, they're all savoury gins, the James May gins, but it's a slight sweetness to a parsnip, isn't it? And this is weird because I'm not really a big fan of parsnips. I don't like the way they masquerade on your plate on a British roast dinner, masquerading as roast potatoes. So you think to yourself, oh, that's a nice roast potato, and all of a sudden you get a great big waft of sweet parsnip. I don't like it. However, my personal grievances aside, it was just, I don't know how they did it, but there was this waft of that parsnippy kind of sweetness, but in a delicate way. And then these spices were kind of woven in with it, and it offset and changed that sort of essence that I didn't like and turned it into something that was just truly lovely. And again, exceptionally balanced. So that, my friends, this is one if you see, and this is going to be available further afield as well. Some of these, may only be available in the UK or the US, but this is going to get everywhere because James May obviously have a lot of influence. So if you see this one, my friends, don't be put off by the strange name. Give it a go because I think you'll absolutely love it.
Number 2.
So, in at number 2, now I must just stress here, this was an extremely difficult decision. When I got to number 3, 2 and 1, all of them could have been picked for the best one, but I had to make a decision. This is what I've gone for. This, my friends, is the Gardener Gin. Now, you might be thinking to yourselves, well, it doesn't seem to be, I can't think of any celebrity gardener that I would have heard of. Well, it's not a celebrity gardener. However, I guarantee you will have heard of the celebrity because this is by Brad Pitt, okay? He doesn't kind of, shout about it and show off and advertise it all over the place, but he put his name to this. And I tell you what, I can see why, because this, my friends, is one of the best gins I have ever tasted. It was actually created, but I can't remember the guy's name now, but it's the distiller used to work at Tanqueray and created Tanqueray 10. Have we got Tanqueray 10? I'm sure you're all familiar with that bottle there. And what was special about Tanqueray 10 is it used, rather than dried citrus fruits, sort of dried up crispy versions, they actually used fresh citrus fruits for the fresh kind of juicy fruits went in there. And it just created something extraordinary because Tanqueray 10 was one of the best gins I've ever had. And this is it puts me very much in mind of it, but somehow it was tweaked. It was like, he knew when he created Tanqueray 10, it was like he held a little bit back. You couldn't tell because it was still exceptional, but he just released that extra kind of 2 or 3%, and it sort of took it to another level in terms of depth of flavours and sort of richness of the citruses. And honestly, I was really, really blown away by this gin. So if you see this one, don't be fooled by its rather mundane exterior. This is an absolutely exceptional and, to my mind, one of the greatest gins in the world at the moment. So if you see this, please just get it because you will not be disappointed. In fact, you'll be extremely pleased, bowled over and blown away in the same way that I was.
Number 1.
So, my friends, number 1, and you won't be surprised to hear, it's James May again. Now, this is featured quite heavily in this top 10, I know, and in fact, it's featured in several top videos that I've done recently. And I was, by the way, let me tell you what the name of this one. This is James Gin London Drizzle. Now, when I first tried this, again, absolutely bonkers. It's basically, they tried to create a gin that tasted like that smell that you get when it rains after a hot period, and you get that kind of sort of musty sort of smell that comes up when the rain hits the asphalt and comes up, and it's kind of, you can think, oh, it's probably going to rain or thunderstorm or something, which is actually, I believe it has a name. I could never remember the name before, but I'm reliably informed now. It's called petrichor. And if you haven't watched my videos before, if this is the first you've heard about this, you're probably again thinking, why on earth would you want a gin to taste like that? Well, I thought the same, my friends, but my God, not only did it work, I enjoyed gin in a way I've never enjoyed it before. It was like I'd spent my whole life, or my whole gin tasting life, waiting for this. It's like what gin should be. It's so obscure that no one would ever think of it, but by some miracle, James and indeed, more likely Hugh, the distiller, because he discovered it and created it, he absolutely nailed it. And like I say, I know this has featured, it's getting a little bit boring featuring this one in all my top 10s, but I thought to myself, you know, it's got to be number one. But then I thought, oh God, is it boring having it? Yeah, because it's been number one in several other categories. But I thought, well, boring or not, what's the point? I can't change. I can't manipulate the result. I'm always, you know, this show is based on honesty, and this is absolutely, honest to God, something truly exceptional. And so if you see this, and again, this is going to be available many places, don't let the weird name put you off, because it is truly exceptional, and it's exceptional in a completely different and mind-blowingly kind of unexpected way. So yeah, congratulations to Hugh, who created it, and James, who put his name to it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my video today. Hope you found it useful, informative, titillating, arousing. If indeed you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, if you're new to this channel. Don't forget to like the video as well, press the little like button. And if you want to support my show, if you'd be so kind to throw a bit of loose change my way, then you can head over to the Patreon page, or indeed click the join button below this video to become one of my YouTube members. But until next time guys, you all know the drill. Take care, stay safe. Thank you to all my patrons and members, and of course, keep drinking the gin.